because our next application, very different sort of experience, but shows how these are not just necessarily student projects, but very real problems that they're tackling in a very serious way. This next project recognized a need in the world and a social good that could come out of their efforts. And so I'm very happy to present politics. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Abdel. This is Alejandro, Robert, and Jonathan. Today we're presenting to you our CAPSTONE project called Politics AJAR. Politics AJAR is a website providing issue-based alignment of voters to their ideal political candidate. So we created that for two specific reasons. The first reason was that we realized there's many voters that actually go to, American voters that actually go to voting booths with no prior knowledge of the candidates they're voting for. Secondly, we also realized that there's so much information available online that it can be difficult for American voters to actually find the right information in order to make the right decision. Politics AJAR is our attempt to solve this problem by receiving users' positions on different political issues and linking them to the voting records of Congress people. We provide each user an alignment score with each single Congress people so that we can create a better political environment. Now Alejandro will present to you the layout of the website.
Thank you, Abdel. So the users first start out at the homepage where they can select the state in which they reside, as well as the main issue that they feel most passionate about. Toggling the slider into a for or against position. On the next page, the users will encounter the array of politicians for that particular state, as well as the sidebar, which includes all the issues flown in from the previous page, with the added functionality of adding or removing or changing the issues, as well as modifying your stance. If you click on a politician, it brings you to their profile page, which has some basic contact information, as well as an issues breakdown chart, which illustrates the aggregate score of how much the politician's views differ or align with the user's views. Based on historical votes. Here's Robert to show you some of the obstacles that we faced.
Thanks, Alex. So for some context, let's start with the data itself. We start with over 500 members of the House and Senate and need to connect them to 36 of the most recent bills through over 4,000 separate and unique votes. We then need to connect the bills to social issues, which we do through over 400 special interest organizations. Once we get all of that data, we can determine an alignment score, and all of this data compiled together resulted in a 9.5 megabyte JSON file that required over 5,000 separate API calls, which is enormous if you're not familiar with JSON. But what were some of the obstacles that we were trying to overcome? Well, third-party restrictions or API limits were one issue, where an API would actually sever the connection if we were making too many calls too frequently, which we were at the beginning. Asynchronicity on both the front and back end was something that needed to be handled, as well as just the size of the data that we're talking about. It took a long time to compile. But how did we solve these problems? Well, a combination of timeout delays and concurrency limiters allowed us to make our APIs happy. Redux state management with Thunk allowed us to resolve our asynchronous issues, and memoization allowed us to actually reduce a 1.5 hour long seed time down to 20 minutes. And for some final thoughts, here's Jonathan.
Thanks, Rob. So despite these challenges, we're very proud of this project. We feel like the product that we came out with is something that has real-world applications, and since it's based on real data, it's something that could actually be used by a voter in the voting booth if they were undecided. The other takeaway that we had from this is a real appreciation for dealing with huge data. Now this is a small scale compared to what's out there, but being able to extract meaningful results from the vast sea of information that's out there was something that we really felt was a strong takeaway, and we look forward to working on projects of a similar event in the future. So Abdel, Jonathan, Rob, and Alex, we'd like to thank you for listening to our project.
All right, very cool. Yeah, I think we'll kind of see increased involvement in politics from students who are getting more interested in that topic. And like Nibbit was saying earlier, one thing I love about students, one thing I love about people being on the program is that they can bring these kind of insights to people in a much more just, large way than they could before.
Totally. And I think another aspect of that project, which I personally love, is that fact that they were wrangling so much data. In fact, we usually tell students when they're thinking of their project ideas to avoid any kind of application where the primary challenge is huge amounts of data. And in this case, they went ahead and did it, and they succeeded at it. It was a lot of hard work, and it paid off.